Allen, and I am interviewing Debbie Allen. Debbie, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Debbie Allen, and I am the controller for Tulsa Community Foundation. I have been with Tulsa Community Foundation for over 13 years, and in that time we have grown from a very small nonprofit organization of about 5 or 6 people to our current size of management team is about 15 or 16 people. We have a CEO and a COO, and then a program team and an accounting team.
Thank you. Can you give us a little insight as to what you consider your management style and how that compares and contrasts to the rest of the company?
Yes, as I mentioned, we began as a very small organization, and at that time I think management style was not such an important emphasis as it has become since we've grown. And the time that we've grown, I now have direct reports of 5 or 6 people, and it has really come to become an important idea for us to learn proper management and leadership techniques, and we've had to become more sophisticated in our management style and less casual, just to meet the needs of our employees. In the beginning, Tulsa Community Foundation was a very small organization, and with fewer people, we found that we did not micromanage. We hired people with great capabilities, good initiative, and fit in with our organization very well. And so management was fairly easy back then. As we've grown, we've found that with more direct reports and more diversification in our management team, that we have had to implement some more structure to how we interact with each other. One of the things that we've recently been trying to improve is our techniques toward management versus leadership. I think really you have to have skills in both areas in order to be able to relate to the people that you work with. A key thing that we've implemented in the last 6 months has been more one-on-one interaction with our directs. We attempt to have one-on-one conversations with directs about every 2 weeks. And during that time, that is an opportunity for the directs to, they bring their questions to the meeting. It's not from the manager down to the directs. It's an opportunity for the directs to express anything that's on their mind, whether it's questions that they have in their job, whether it's questions about their future with our organization. It can even be an explanation of what's on their mind in their personal life even, because we all understand that things that are happening in one's personal life oftentimes do affect how you relate and your efficiency and your effectiveness at your current job. This has also led us to try to schedule once a month. We have our executive committee discussions in our meeting, and that involves our chief executive officer, our chief operating officer, and our chief director of development at our organization, as well as myself from the financial side. And I think all of this has just really opened up lines of communication that we had in an informal way before, but this has really made us be more thoughtful and more strategic in not only what's going on in our office currently, but what we anticipate both on a short-term and a long-term basis.
So are you saying that this has helped communication flow upwards towards management as well as down towards the direct reports?
Absolutely. I think it flows both ways. When we have the one-on-ones, it is the responsibility of the direct to bring the questions, bring the thoughts to the manager. And then when we have our executive committee meetings, that is an opportunity for cross communication. And then once a month, our organization has a 100% staff meeting that allows for our executives to communicate back to our staff. And so hopefully in that scenario we have communication that covers all levels and keeps everyone apprised of what our organization is accomplishing and what it hopes to move towards in the future.
So I assume that keeps everyone sort of on the same page, helping groups that may not interact directly kind of know where each one is and what they're trying to get accomplished.
Yes, and it's important in my position because our accounting department, our accounting finance department, needs to know what the program officers and what our executives are accomplishing in order to make sure that we are apprised of all the activities and how that affects our record keeping and our day-to-day administrative responsibilities and even how we relate to our constituents and our donors in our situation. If we are not aware of changes in our donor base or in the services that we're providing, then we aren't able to effectively carry out our mission at our organization.
So I assume with this open communication that also helps sort of avoid groupthink and sort of that one sort of mentality and allows others to bring ideas to the table.
And we absolutely encourage everyone to bring a voice to any of the meetings that we have. We try especially hard to be aware and open to different ideas. It has even led us to pursue having training in DEI aspects programs. Our diversity, equity, and inclusion has really changed the face of our organization and has taught us to look for implicit bias that we may not even be aware of, and I think that helps us not only at work, but it probably helps us in our personal lives as well.
So I keep hearing you mention the personal side, realizing that human capital is not just a cog in a machine, that's obviously an important part to your management theory and sort of how each employee is sort of included or approached within the company.
Well, it's important because of the time and energy that it takes to hire an employee, train that employee, and adjust your operations for that person. You sacrifice so much if you do not keep that employee engaged with your company. If that person terminates and you're forced to go look for a replacement, you've lost more than just one person. You've lost your time and your money and your efforts that you've invested in that first person. So it just makes economic sense to improve your management so that you keep your employees as happy and as productive as you possibly can.
What are your observations towards some of the changes in the current workforce?
Well, as an experienced manager, where basically you came to work, you did your job, and you evidenced that you were doing okay based on a lack of input from your management or your superiors. That has changed so much as the young people that come out of college and maybe are beginning their career, and what they're really looking for is ongoing and day-to-day or week-to-week input as to the whether they're meeting expectations, what can they do to improve, how can they change the trajectory of their career, and they seem to want to know on a very upfront and explicit dialogue as to what they are doing right, what they can improve on, and it is no longer just a matter of if you don't hear anything, everything's good. And I think that's actually a very helpful way for management and directs to stay abreast of each other's expectations and how they both feel that the relationship between employees is actually playing out, and just clears the air for better communication amongst all of the employees in the organization.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.